Okay, so today I'm going to show you how to calculate vacation days for employees in Smartsheet. So I have a new sheet that I just created. I've got the primary column as employee name. We have a date column for date of hire, and then vacation days allotted, carryover days, vacation days used, and vacation days remaining. Okay, so first I'm going to hide some of these columns while I build out my formulas. I don't need this. Okay. So for reference, I'm going to put tenure and weeks allotted. Okay, this is my reference for how we calculate vacation days in our company. So when you are first hired, we calculate how many vacation days you get based on the month that you were hired. After that first calendar year is finished, then we don't really worry about month anymore. We're just looking at the calendar year of today versus the year that you were hired. Okay, so let's say I was hired in June of this current year. All right, we're in 2019. So this is less than one calendar year. Okay, so I was hired in June. That's halfway through the year, and we do our calculation of 2 weeks vacation. Okay, so this will be some percentage of 2 weeks for the first calendar year that you're with us. All right, going into the second calendar year, so basically your first fresh January, this will be 2 weeks for that year. Then after 2 years, it's also 2 weeks. Then once we get into entering your third calendar year, you'll get 3 weeks, and into the fourth and beyond, we cap it at 4 weeks vacation. Okay, so for the June hire, the vacation days allotted would be 5 days, okay? 2 weeks is 10 days, and then we're 50% of the way through the year, so we would get 50% of 10 days. Okay, so that's 5 days. All right, so let's make this a calculation. Okay, so let's do, let's see, month of date of hire. Now you can see as I start typing in a function, it knows I've started a function or a formula because I've hit the equal sign. All right, so I just hit the letter M. Okay, and then it's going to bring up a bunch of functions that begin with the letter M, and for each one, when I highlight it, it's going to show a little summary about what that function does. Okay, this also means that whichever one is highlighted, if I just hit enter, it will fill in the rest of that for me automatically. Now we get a more detailed summary of the function, and we also have the opportunity to reference another sheet. Now for this, we're only going to be working within the same sheet, but in a later video, we are going to be doing some cross-sheet references. They're extremely useful. Okay, now we have an example that they gave us, and then we have another summary, and then we have the arguments. Arguments are everything that go in between the parentheses of a function. For this example, there's only one argument, and that's the date. So the date that we're going to look at is date of hire. Okay, so this should give us a 6. All right, now to get the number of vacation days, we need to do 12 minus 6, so 12 minus month of date of hire. I'm going to wrap this in another set of parentheses because we're doing a subtraction, and order of operations work the same way in Smartsheet that they do in Excel and elsewhere. Okay, so 12 minus month of date of hire, then we divide that by 12 to get our percentage, and then we multiply this by 10 days or 2 weeks. Okay, perfect. Now I want to show you what happens if I do a January hire. Okay, now the way this should work, or the way that we want it to work, I should say, is that we want anyone hired in January to get 10 days. But let's see what happens when I do this. All right, so because we're subtracting, 12 minus 1 is the month of the date of hire, we're getting less than that full 10 days. So I'm going to add another function around this, and I'm going to do round up. I always want it to round up, because let's say we're going to err on the generous side, okay? So I'm going to close this out. All right. Okay, perfect. Let's make sure it works again with June. Fantastic. And then let's try October. That should be 2 days. Okay, great. But let's say someone was hired in October of last year. All right, the way that we do things, we want to see 10 days allotted because they're going into their first full calendar year, so that they should get that 2 weeks. Okay, but no, this isn't working because this is just doing the month. We don't take months into consideration once you've reached the next calendar year. Okay, so what we need to do is tell Smartsheet that, hey, we only want to do this calculation if this individual was hired during our current calendar year. Okay, so this is what that is going to look like. Let me just insert another column, and I'm going to put this as this is where we're going to do our ifs. Okay, so for this, I'm going to start and I'm going to type if. See here, we have a function that's a little bit more complex. We have 2 arguments, and then we also have an optional third argument. You can tell it's optional because of these square brackets. That means that our function will perform accurately without this, but we can add it in, and actually we will be adding in one of those. Okay, so the first part of this function is the logical expression. This is the question we're asking. We are asking, hey, Smartsheet, is the year of the date of hire the same year as the date of today? So to do that, we say if year of, let's do today first, okay? If year of today, this is a function that always gives us the current date, okay? So if year of today is equal to year of date of hire, okay, comma, to move on to the next argument. What do we want to do if it's true? Right now we're just testing, so I'm going to say yes, and then if false, we don't need to put this. It will just put a blank if it's false by default, but let's put nope. Okay, close out our parentheses. You can see that I have enough parentheses. They give us this little cue here, which is color matching of function parentheses. It is so easy to lose track of how many parentheses you need when you're doing these nested functions. So it's always good to check, is the first parenthesis in this blue and is the last parenthesis in this blue? Okay. Nope, that's correct because 2018 is not the current year. If we do, let's say our June example again. Okay, now we're in 2019. Yes, that's our current year. Fantastic. Okay, but we don't want it to give us just a yes or a no. What we want it to do is if it's yes, we want it to run this function, right? Okay, so let me copy this. Don't need the equal sign. And I'm going to paste it here in place of yes. All right. Okay, that looks good. What if we do 2018? Nope. Okay, fantastic. So I'm actually going to move this whole function over into the vacation days allotted because this is where our final function is going to be. And I am just using this one to do some calculations while we build out the formula. Okay, great. So the first part is done. Now we need to add in what we want Smartsheet to do for people who have been at the company for 2 years, 3 years, and 4+ years, okay? So let's look at the people who get 2 weeks vacation, all right? Now, the way that if functions work is that as soon as it finds a true statement, it's gonna stop. It's going to give us what we told it to give us if it's true, and then it's not going to keep looking. Okay, so basically we can ignore this whole piece of the puzzle because we have already accounted for it. Okay, so the next piece is just the people who get 2 weeks. All right, so those people are people who have been at the company for less than 3 calendar years. Now, less than 1 calendar year is also less than 3, right? But we don't need to worry about this. We don't need to worry about filtering it out anymore because we already did that, okay? So these employees, they have been at the company for less than 3 calendar years, all right? So let's add, actually, let's see, let's change this. I'm gonna start this one over, okay? So I'm gonna do if, all right, year, today, okay, if that minus year of date of hire, all right, if that is less than 3, then I want 10 days, okay? If that's not it, then say nope. Okay, this is correct, right? This is their first calendar year that they're going into is 2019, so they get 10 days, and that's regardless of the month that they had started back in 2018. Okay, this should also be true if someone was hired the previous year to this. Okay, good. But then if it was 3 years ago, we should see nope. Okay, great. Now we can add this function. I'm gonna grab this. We can add this function into our final function instead of that last nope. Okay. Enter. Great. Now the next piece. Okay, so we've taken care of this and this and this, and now we need to do the 3-week people, the 15-day folks. Okay, so for this, we just need to know if year of today, okay, I'm gonna close those out. If year of today minus year of date of hire, okay, if that is less than our next jump, which is 4, okay, if that's less than 4, because remember, we don't need to worry about these. So if year of today minus year of date of hire is less than 4, then I want 15 days, and if not, nopers. Okay, perfect. Let's do 2015, nopers, okay? Because this is 4 years ago. All right, but this works. Copy this in and paste this in this nope. Okay. All right. Now, oh, come on. What did I do? What did I do? All right, delete this. Paste up. I grabbed that equal sign. Don't need that. There we go. Now, the only thing we haven't accounted for is the 4 weeks. And guess what? That is the maximum. So it doesn't matter if someone's been here for 4 years, 10 years, 20 years. Well, maybe at that point we'll give them a few extra. But as far as our calculation, the only thing we haven't accounted for already is the 20 days. So we don't even need to do another test. It has already checked if it's the current calendar year. It's checked if it's 1 year after, 2 years after, 3 years after. So now that everything is accounted for, we can just say, look, if you haven't found any true statements so far, just give me 20. So we don't even need to do another if statement. Okay. All right. So I can delete this, and I can delete these. And let's do a few more checks. Let's do January of the current year, 10 days. June current year, 5 days. Let's say June of 2018, 10 days. That's right. And then just to prove that month doesn't matter anymore, February of 2017 should also be 10 days. Perfect. 16 should jump us up to 15. Great. And then, here we go. 15 is 20. And so is, if you were hired in 1952, 62, let's say. Yes, 20 years. Okay. 20 days, excuse me. Okay, so our function works. Let me unhide all of our other columns. I'm just going to delete this right now. Okay, well, I don't want to look at that, so I'm just going to put today's date. Okay, so to get the vacation days remaining, this is going to be equals vacation days allotted plus any carryover days from the year before minus vacation days they've used so far. Okay, so for this person, they were allotted 1 day, and then let's say they used up that 1 day, so their remaining days would be 0. If this was someone hired in the previous year, they would get 10 days. They've taken 1, so this should be 9, right? Did I do that right? Perfect, okay. And if they had 1 day left over from the year before, then that would jump them back up to 10. Great. Okay. So one of the columns that we are referencing in this function is, you remember, the vacation days allotted, but that column, it doesn't have any hard-coded numbers in it. It's just another function. So what we can do is we can take this entire function And we can simplify our sheet further, and we can add this in here. So we're going to replace where the column is with its contents, okay? Now this isn't going to work for these two because these are going to be just input numbers that you've input, and that's going to change depending on the row, but this is always going to be a function. Okay, there we go. Let's delete this. Okay, just do another quick June test. Beautiful. Okay, so that is how we build a function that tells us the current number of vacation days someone has. In our next sheet, we're going to find a really nice way to calculate how many vacation days someone has used, because we're not going to have to keep track of that manually anymore. What we're going to do is set up another sheet, and employees are going to be able to submit their vacation day requests to that sheet, and then those total days will be pulled in automatically to this sheet, so you never need to worry about counting those up or doing any kind of manual subtraction anymore. Okay, stay tuned for the next video. Thank you so much. Whenever I have functions in a column, I like to give myself a little visual reminder that they're there so that I don't accidentally write over them. Smartsheet is going to copy down functions for me automatically when I add new rows. Let's see, I think I have to have some already. Let me just check something. Okay, oh no, this does work. Sometimes you have to have more than one of these pre-filled, like you have to have at least 2 rows with a function in order for it to know to copy that down automatically. So if that doesn't happen with your second row, try manually dragging it down and then add your new row, and then it should be working. Okay, but I don't ever want to go back in here and then write, oh, okay, I know he has 10 vacation days remaining, right? Because now when I do my next row, so let's say I'm going to do June. Okay, but then this would be 5. Okay, because now when I go to write in another one, January, I don't get my formula anymore. I broke it, and I spent so much time on this. I do not want that to happen. Okay, so I'm going to delete these, and I'm going to color this. I'm going to format this column to be, say, this nice pale orange, okay? And then this is going to be a visual indicator to me to not touch this, okay? This is going to do all the work for me. I do not need to add anything here. When I add something new, it's going to be copied down automatically. Now to go one step further, and this is very important if you're going to be sharing your sheet with others, which I hope you do because that's one of the best features of Smartsheet, I'm going to lock this column. That means that no one can edit this even if they try, unless they are the sheet owner or an admin. So anyone with editor permissions cannot edit this. Admins can, so we just have to try and trust them.